Our first guest is the leader of a group called Drag Out the Vote. And if you've been watching the show the past couple of weeks, you know I've been pushing the voting. All right. So please let me welcome Jackie Huba. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Amber, how are you?
Fine. Sorry for confusing you there for a second. By the way, I love your top there. It's my favorite color, shiny.
Exactly. I mean, I sit around in my sweatpants all day.
Okay.
So this is the most shiny I've been in a while.
Oh, good. So where are we talking to you from?
So we're in lovely Austin, Texas.
Wow, very good. So what's going on in Austin these days? Anything?
I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful day in Austin. We have 300 days of sun, so we love it here. But at Drag Out the Vote, we have like 38 days till the election. So for us, every day is a work day.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the history of Drag Out the Vote.
Yeah, we're a pretty new organization. I started it last year. And it's funny, like I've never been an activist, really. I'm a professional speaker and an author. But after 2016, when I realized that 100 million people didn't vote in the election, and 1 in 5 LGBTQ people are not registered to vote. It really just blew my mind. And because I'd written a book on drag, and I actually have a drag persona that I did for the book. I know a lot of folks in drag around the country, and Fifi O'Hara, a good friend of mine from Drag Race, has been an activist and doing things with drag artists. So I literally just asked her last year, hey, what if we did something with voting and drag artists across the country called Drag Out the Vote? Would you do it? And she was, yeah, let's do it. So we've been around for about a year.
So what developed your interest in drag?
I'll be honest, it was actually RuPaul's Drag Race. I started watching it like season 4. And, I knew about drag and I knew what it was, but really, I didn't know as much as I did from watching the show. And I have to tell you, as a woman who is watching, drag artists on the show, yeah, technical difficulties.
Oh, my.
No worries.
Oh, there we go. That's better. I was trying to hide the cord, but why bother?
Exactly. Mine's right here.
All right. So RuPaul Drag Race got you involved with an interest in drag.
Yeah. As a, 47-year-old woman back then, I was watching the show, and I loved understanding how drag artists build these really fierce, confident personas. And I was looking for that kind of confidence. I think I was having a midlife crisis, and I was just obsessed with drag. And so I wanted to learn it, understand it. I started interviewing drag artists from Drag Race and around the country. Here in Austin, I started learning it, performing it, and then wrote a book called Fiercely You, Be Fabulous and Confident by Thinking Like a Drag Queen.
Oh my God. So tell me about your drag character, your persona.
Yeah, her name is Lady Trinity, and it's sort of a mix of Lady Gaga, who I'm a huge fan of. And then if you know Trinity from The Matrix. From The Matrix. Okay, well, anyone who's listening, Trinity from the Matrix movie is a badass, like almost S&M kind of outfit wearing fighter, and she's just super fierce, and she holds her own with the male fighters in the movies, and I just love her. So that's Lady Trinity.
So I'm curious, have you performed as your character?
Yeah, I performed. My drag mother is one of the top drag artists here in Austin. So I performed here at the gay clubs here, at Austin Pride, in New York, at drag brunches. And I actually did a TEDx talk on the concept of the book, and part of it is in drag, believe it or not.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do you do during your act?
I have to say, like, discovering what your talents are in drag to me is a journey. Like I was like, oh, am I sort of a dancing queen? Am I sort of like, what am I? And I started with always having backup dancers because I wanted a theatrical presentation. Wow. I know. Sometimes I had 2, and in my TEDx talk I have 4. But then I started to realize, what, comedy is more my deal. So then I started doing comedy. And I think that's really kind of what Lady Trinity, she's kind of like very fierce and sassy, but she has a comic angle to her.
All right, so there is some controversy in the drag community about cis females, being considered drag queens. Have you run up against any of that?
I think most of the people who don't understand women doing drag, cis women doing drag, are people who are outside the drag community, I think, because, every drag artist that I've been friends with or that I know or I've interacted with has been super, super inclusive, I feel like. So I've seen a little bit of, is this really drag? You're a woman, but it's like, you know what? Anyone can do drag. And it doesn't matter who you are. It's another character, another persona that you put on. I just feel like we're being as fierce and fabulous and trying to work as hard as we can, just like everyone else. So.
All right, very cool. So we have a video about Drag Out the Vote. Let's do a little watching of that.
Sure.
100 million people did not vote in 2016.
1 out of 5 queer people in the United States of America are not registered to vote.
With Drag Out the Vote, we're going to get people across America to register to vote and get involved in one of the most important elections of this lifetime.
This is the moment that we need to do a huge transformation and change.
We have drag queens leading the movement for the AIDS crisis, for marriage equality, and now to protect our trans brothers and sisters as their rights are being rolled back.
You need to make your voice heard. If you don't have your voice heard within this country, you aren't doing your job.
It is important to vote because not just you, but think of the people around you. So many people have so much at stake with this election.
Being an immigrant is not easy, it's hard, and it's so important for you guys to go out and vote.
This is Cynthia LeFontaine.
Fifi O'Hara.
Brita Filter.
I'm Mariko Cummings.
Monet Exchange.
Mercedes Iman Diamond.
Drag Out the Vote. Thank you.
Wow, you got some names in there.
We do. You saw Brita Filter, who is one of our national co-chairs, Fifi O'Hara, who actually goes by Jeremy Carey today, and then Marty Gold Cummings, which is a drag artist and activist out of New York City, and is running for New York City Council as the first non-binary and drag artist to ever run for New York City Council.
Oh my goodness, how cool. How cool. Well, last week we had a trans woman who's running for state house. She'll be the first trans person as a representative in Vermont. And we had 2 of the gay men running as well. There are several members of our community who are running for state representative in Vermont. And so it's really remarkable. So where was that event that you had that was being featured there? Where was that?
Yeah, back when we could do things in person. Yeah, that was our really big kickoff event to 2020. It was in January and it was in Minneapolis. And so we had about 16 drag racers there and then another like 14 Minneapolis local queens. And it was our first big fundraiser and voter registration event for the year. It was just absolutely fantastic. So that footage is so great and we use it all the time. But, now we had to pivot. A lot of voter registration across the country is mostly in person. So when COVID hit in March, it took us about 30 days to pivot to completely online, voter registration and get out the vote. So it's been quite a shift starting back then.
So how is your organization working to get out the vote?
Yeah. So one of the top things that we're doing is exactly what you're a member of, which is the Drag Ambassador Program. So we have drag artists in almost all 50 states, over 300 of them, who are rallying their local communities to get registered and get out the vote. So we give them, the voter registration portals, all the tools, all the content. Some of them are starting to do it in person. We have QR codes for voter registration in case they happen to be able to do something that's, safe, but in person. And we've even done things like we've partnered with secretaries of state to make sure that we have all the top information. Secretary of State Padilla of California, the largest Secretary of State in the nation, who's responsible for elections, obviously, is working with us to make sure our drag ambassadors have the latest information. And we're gonna have drag ambassadors working at the polls as poll workers, as election monitors. So you're gonna see, sequins and glitter and wigs at the polls.
Oh, wow. The polling booth could be a lot more interesting this year.
That's right, absolutely.
Well, very good. Well, as I believe you were informed that I'm the founder of the League of Drag Queen Voters, and our motto is "Don't blow it, vote." And because we want people to do that. And would you like to take the League pledge?
I would, yes, sure, absolutely.
All right, so it's very simple. So just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, say your name.
I, Jackie Huba,
Do promisely do swear
Do swear
to always vote.
to always vote.
Now by the powder.
Now by the powder.
Oh, that's my part. I'm sorry. Now by the powder invested in me, I pronounce you a member of the League of Drag Queen Voters. Yay!
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we've got an announcement coming up next week that I think you'll be happy about too. So we'll be sure to get you back and talk about that. Is there anything else you'd like to mention while you're on here, Jackie?
Sure. I just love for people to follow us. We have lots of amazing things. What we're going to be doing is phone banking and text banking every week till the election. So you can go to our website, which I know is on the screen, sign up for our newsletter, our email newsletter, because we're going to be sending out those notices where people can, anyone, you don't have to be a drag ambassador. You could just be anyone and come and help us phone bank and text bank to get voters. We are, just wanted to mention one more time, we're a nonpartisan organization. So it's just all about making sure that people help others get out and vote, get registered, and get ready to do this thing this year.
Well, that is super. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. We'll have you back for the quiz later on. I think you're going to like the quiz.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Nice seeing you. Oh, wasn't that fun? All righty. Whew.